So, how do you take a single, almost forgotten line from an ancient text and turn it into a whole world? A world full of struggle and hope and, well, resilience? We're about to explore just that. How one of the briefest historical records imaginable gave birth to an incredibly powerful story. Okay, so here it is. This is our entire source. That's it. In English, it basically translates to a simple travel log entry. And they departed from Evrona and encamped. I mean, it's just a geographical note in a 40-year journey. There's no emotion, no detail, nothing, just a name, Evrona. So the question is, how on earth does that become a story? How does a storyteller take one single dusty sentence and just breathe life into it? How do you transform a sterile log entry into this gripping narrative of survival and faith? Well, let's unpack exactly how that's done. All right, so our story kicks off in the 39th year of wandering. I mean, just imagine that. For almost 40 years, they've been on the move. The promise of a new home, that's starting to feel like an old, faded fairy tale. The only reality is the relentless, scorching desert. And the scene is just one of absolute, profound exhaustion. And if you could just listen, think about the soundscape here. This is not some heroic march. It's the sound of survival on a razor's edge. There are no songs, no conversations, just thousands upon thousands of feet dragging through the sand. It's a community held together only by the shared, silent struggle. So let's zoom in on a single family. We get close enough to hear a mother's desperate, whispered prayer. Her name is Tamara, and her hope, well, it's about as dry as the ground she's walking on. This isn't a prayer for anyone else to hear. It's just a raw, gut-wrenching plea to a silent sky. And their desperation, it's perfectly captured in a single object, the water skin. It's shaken, and it's almost empty. Without a moment's hesitation, her husband, Eleazar, gives the last few precious drops to their son, David. It's such a small act, but it contains absolutely everything: love, sacrifice, and the terrifying, stark reality that they have nothing left. And then their son, David, asks this just heartbreakingly innocent question. You have to remember, he was born in the desert. He only knows about Egypt from stories, this mythical place with a river, with abundance. And his simple question just throws this massive gap between a fading memory and their brutal current reality into sharp relief. Okay, so now let's pull the camera back. Let's move away from the suffering on the ground and get a completely different vantage point. We're going up to the leaders who are watching from a hill above. And believe me, their perspective is entirely different. And this, right here, is the core conflict of the story. For the people down below, reality is immediate. It's dust, it's thirst, it's exhaustion. But for the leaders, it's about something else entirely. It's about the promise, the memory, the faith to see this thing through. They are living in two completely different worlds, even though they're walking the exact same path. So who are these leaders? Well, you've got Moses, ancient and just bent by the weight of it all, but his eyes are still clear, still have this unbreakable focus. Then there's Joshua, the hardened warrior, the military man, and you can see the worry etched on his face. He's thinking about the practicalities, the morale, the strength of his people. And finally, Aaron, the priest, who seems to be feeling the spiritual fatigue of the entire nation. It's Joshua who really speaks for the people on the ground. He sees that they're at their breaking point. To them, Evrona, it doesn't matter. It's just another name for the exact same suffering. He's essentially giving voice to all that doubt that's simmering in the camp down below. But Moses, he has a completely different perspective. He says the desert also created them, Joshua. See, for him, the desert isn't just a trial, it's a crucible. It's the fire that has burned away the slave mentality they brought from Egypt. It has forged a new, resilient generation. These people were born in hardship, and in Moses' eyes, that is their greatest strength. And this really gets to the heart of Moses' strategy. The stop at Evrona, it's not just about finding a little water. No, it's a calculated pause. It's a chance to let their bodies rest, for sure. But, and this is crucial, it's also about reminding their souls why they're doing this, to reinforce the purpose behind all this pain. And this really reveals Moses' true burden and his motivation. While everyone else is carrying their exhaustion, he is carrying the memory of the flame in the bush, the memory of that very first promise. As long as he holds on to that memory, they have to keep walking. He is their living, breathing link to the very start of this whole thing. Okay, let's shift our focus back down to the valley. The long column of people has finally stopped at Evrona. And something amazing happens in the simple act of setting up camp. The atmosphere just begins to change. The chaos of the march starts to give way to the quiet order of a community. And then it happens. The emotional turning point of the whole story. And it comes from a child's voice. It's David, the same little boy who was on the verge of collapse just a short time ago. He shouts, "Dad, look!" He's found something. What did he find? It's a tiny, dried purple flower, improbably pushing its way up through the cracked earth. I mean, it's almost nothing, right? But in this moment, it is absolutely everything. It's this defiant splash of color in a world of brown. And for his parents, Elazar and Tamara, it's the first real spark of hope they've felt all day. So really, the whole theme of the story gets captured in two powerful symbols right here. You got the flower, which represents individual resilience, this idea that life finds a way, even in the harshest places. And then you have the campfires, which represent collective resilience, the community creating its own light, its own warmth and safety in this vast, overwhelming darkness. The final image we're left with is one of thousands of these small fires dotting the desert floor, like stars on the earth, under a vast, starry sky. And it's such a powerful image because it doesn't erase the hardship, not at all, but instead it shows the incredible strength and the quiet dignity of a people who have chosen to endure together for one more night. So, when you break it all down, this is just a masterclass in the storyteller's craft. It really lays out the blueprint, doesn't it? You start with a barren source text, just a fact, then you build a human-scale emotional core. You add that strategic, thematic layer from a different perspective, and finally, you resolve the whole thing with a powerful, unforgettable symbol of hope. Ultimately, the story of Evrona is a powerful reminder, I think. It shows us that even in our own longest journeys, through our own harshest landscapes, hope can be found in the smallest, most unexpected places. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. Where do we find the promises in our own deserts?